Hello everyone. So the homework is the pink worksheet called complex numbers, and I will be working on number 15, 16, 17, and 18. Okay? So let's start with number 15. Number 15 says I to the 8th power, and we want to express it in the simplest form in terms of I. Okay, so let's do that. Number 15. Okay, so we have I to the 8th power, and we want to simplify this. So before we do, I want to review what we did in class earlier. Okay, remember what we did? We saw that I to the 0th power is 1. I to the 1st power is just I. I to the 2nd power is negative 1. I to the 3rd power is negative I. I to the 4th power is back at 1. Okay, so in class we did this. We saw that I to the 0th is 1, I to the 1st I, 2nd negative 1, 3rd negative I, and once you get to the I to the 4th, it repeats. So the pattern goes 1, I, negative 1, negative I, 1, and then after that, I to the 5th is just I again. So we notice here, we saw in class that the pattern repeats every 4 terms. Every 4 terms it repeats. So remember how we simplify this. What we want to do is I to the 8th power. It repeats every 4 times. So every 4 of them, it'll just keep repeating. So what we want to do is we want to divide the 8 by 4 and see what the remainder is. So 8 divided by 4, you get 2. Remainder, 0. There's no remainder. So if there is no remainder, remember what we said? This is equivalent to remainder 0, remainder 1, remainder 2, remainder 3, and back to remainder 0. Because if it's remainder 4, it's divisible by 4 again. So it'll be remainder 0 here. So I to the 8th, we have a remainder 0. What that means is our answer is 1. So the I to the 8th, another way to write it, simplify it, is just 1. Because it's equivalent to I to the 0th power. Okay, so that's number 15. Number 16. We have I to the 34 times I to the 44. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Number 16. So we have I to the 34 times I to the 44. Remember when you multiply, what happened to the exponents? You can add the exponents together. So that is the equivalent of saying I to the 34 plus 44. And that is equal to I to the 78. So once again, we know that for every 4 terms, the pattern repeats. So let's divide 78 by 4. So once again, 78 divided by 4, and we want to see what the remainder is. Okay, so let's do that. 78 and divide into 4. So 4 times what gives you 7? 4 times 1, 38. 4 times what gives you 38? 4 times 9 gives you 36. And remainder 2. So we have 19, remainder 2. What that means is, to get to 78, this pattern of 4, it cycles 19 times, and you're left with a remainder of 2. So remember what we did earlier? A remainder of 2 gives you negative 1. So we have I to the 78, it has a remainder of 2, and that is equal to negative 1. Okay? Number 17. Number 17. We have I to the 50th power plus I to the 40th power. So, number 17. I to the 50th power plus I to the 40th power. Now here we have an addition. And we have addition, we can't really do anything with the exponents. It's when they're being multiplied, that's when you can add the exponents. Since the two i's are being added, there's really nothing you can do. What you have to do is you have to figure them out individually and then add them. So let's first figure out I to the 50th power and see what we come up with. And it's the same step that we did earlier. So what we want to do is we want to be able to divide 50 by 4. So let's do that. 1 times 4 gives you 4. Remainder, you have 10. 2 times 4 gives you 8. And you have 12, remainder 2. So it cycles 12 times and it's left with a remainder 2. And what do we say remainder 2 was? Remainder 2 is negative 1. So we got what I of 50 is. It's negative 1. Because we have a remainder of 2. So remainder 2, negative 1. So now we got that part. We have to figure out what I to the 40th power is. I to the 40th. Once again, you divide 40 by 4. And you end up with 10. Remainder 0. There's no remainder. And remainder 0 is equivalent to I to the 0th power, which is equal to 1. So I to the 40th power is equal to 1. I to the 50th power is negative 1. So we end up with I to the 40th power plus I to the 50th power. That's equivalent to negative 1 plus 1. And you end up with the answer 0. Okay, that's number 17. And let's look at number 18. It says I to the 40th ninth power divided by I to the 17th power. So number 18. We have I to the 49th power divided by I to the 17th power. Let's write this as a fraction. It's equivalent to saying I to the 49th power over I to the 17th power. And remember what happens when we divide? What happens to the exponents? It's the same thing as 49 minus 17. So what is 49 minus 17? You get I to the 32nd. I to the 32nd power. So now I to the 32nd. And let's see, how do we simplify that? So we have 32. Let's divide that by 4. Okay, we end up with 8. Remainder 0. So there's no remainder. And what do we say no remainder? That's equivalent of I to the 0th power, which is equal to 1. So what that tells you is this whole thing, I to the 49th power divided by I to the 17th power, it's equivalent to 1. And that is our answer. Okay? Once again, if you have any questions, you can ask me tomorrow in class, okay? Have a good night.